Yeah, I have to make a confession. This is the first time in my career I'm giving a short keynote on a topic that I know absolutely nothing about. So how did I get roped into this? Well, I'm responsible for Qualcomm's worldwide software engineering organization. And as part of that, I have been very focused on what we call internally developer first, which is really about how can I make it easy for developers to use Qualcomm's products? So, or to put it a different way, how can we enable developers with or without our help, Qualcomm's help in this case? And the with our help, we're really good at, right? We are well known for that. We have lots of customer engineers that help out our customers, but it doesn't scale. And so it's really about how can we do it without our help? So what does that mean? It means, obviously, developer documentation. It means contributions and active participation in open source projects, so you can go to kernel.org, download it, and it will work on our hardware. It means access to hardware. And it also means very active participation in standards. And that's why this is related, and that's why I let myself get roped into this, and talk a little bit about this. Because this is one of those things. We've been actually working, I've been with Qualcomm now for 2 years, almost 2 years, and we've been working to change some of our licensing strategies, certainly with respect to software patents and software projects, to make it much easier to contribute and work with all these different open source projects. Because that, to me, is frankly one of the few ways to scale. So in that context, I want to talk a little bit about the Qualcomm support of open source reference platform for 4 and 5G. So we've actually got quite a history with the open air interface. We've been working with Eurocom since 2018. We did that largely to help them open source their efforts and to get them connected, and worked with ETSI, Northeastern universities, and other US universities. Because that student pipeline is extremely important, not just for Qualcomm, but for the entire telecom industry. What we've done since, especially because of the ORAN, but also because of the US government funding, the OAI stack has gotten a lot more important. And it now forms the basis, really, for all the 5 and 6G research. And to us, again, it is extremely critical, especially as competition across the world in these spaces is accelerating, that we actually contribute and actively participate on that. And so the availability of a high quality open source radio stack has reinvigorated the university research programs in cellular radio, and that's extremely key to Qualcomm. Obviously, there are lots of interesting innovations happening in that space. I'm actually kind of amazed of how AI has managed to find its way into these stacks. And it makes sense, right? Both from and I'm sure I'm going to butcher this, but the MIMO beamforming algorithms, but also the advanced orchestration and management automation. So, however, we also feel that with a lot of different projects, there is fragmentation. And we're really concerned about that. And so we feel this close partnership between the open air interface and the Linux Foundation networking and the ORAN software community is key to advancing 6G leadership. And that's in part why we're joining. And we need to build and unify all the efforts in LFN today. We really think LFN is the best place where all of this can come together. And a perfect example of that is, for example, Nefio, and then obviously OAI for anything between 4, 5, or 6G stacks, and all the ORAN orchestration and management stacks. And of course, all of this needs to be coordinated, and we want to avoid duplication. And again, that's where LFN, bringing it all together in LFN is critical for us. So why are we rejoining? Well, we're rejoining to help with this. Because as I said, this is critical to Qualcomm. It's important to Qualcomm. So we're helping to unify and fulfill the 5G super blueprint vision by integrating the efforts across standards, anything from GPP, 3GPP, O-RAN, small cell form, and of course the various efforts going on within the Linux Foundation, and then of course the Open RAN and the core network open source projects. And we, as I said before, we think LFN is the best forum for doing that. And of course, again, there's also a lot of deep synergy there around all the AI and machine learning programs, as well as the security projects. So I do want to call out something that may be a little bit more controversial, and that's about the various unique aspects of the 4 and 5G, 6G ecosystem effort. And this is very different from the open source world that I typically work in, where your upfront investment is relatively small. It is software. But of course, in this particular space, there's a massive upfront investment around all the radio networks, all the technologies, everything that you're developing. And recouping that is absolutely critical for investors. If they can't recoup it, they wouldn't invest in it. So this is why it's important that we have that capability, but at the same time, we also want to have all the benefits of the open source ecosystem, which means full rights to download, fork, modify, and redistribute, royalty-free rights for academia, because again, we want to encourage research. We want to encourage the next generation of innovators in the cellular network space. Patent rights, deferred. And all the glue and platform code, all the management and orchestration code, that's perfectly fine under traditional open source licenses with either an Apache 2.0 or MIT license. And then, of course, the AI space, a lot of the licensing terms aren't quite worked out there, aren't quite settled out. So that's going to be an interesting space to watch. So with that, I wanted to state that we are delighted to partner with the Linux Foundation Network to fulfill the vision of the 5G super blueprint. We're looking forward to working together with all the LFN members to provide key platforms for advancement of Open RAN technologies. So thank you very much.